I'm Jenna Miscavige. I was born and raised in Scientology. I left when I was 21 years old and wrote a book about it. My uncle, David Miscavige, is the leader of Scientology, and this is my YouTube channel. Hey guys, I know I've been gone for a couple of days. I've been wanting to make a video, and I wanted my next video to be lighter than the last few I have done. But the problem with this was that it was the 2 days before my period. And unfortunately, during those days, I feel like murdering everybody. And so now we can all relax. That time has passed, and I'm ready to speak calmly and be uplifting with today's video. So many of you have come to my channel to learn about Scientology. And for the most part, I do talk about Scientology, but I also do videos on what it's like after leaving Scientology, after spending most of your life there. And because the things that happen in Scientology don't stop as soon as you leave, especially not if your whole childhood was there. And so this is one of those videos when I just kind of talk about life after Scientology and not necessarily Scientology itself. So I have been going through a tiny bit of a transformation recently. And I would say this has probably been going on for the last 2 years. And I feel like I'm coming to a point where I'm really noticing it. And I'm seeing bigger changes than I was previously. And all of the small changes that I've sort of been going through over the last year are sort of coming to a head where I actually really feel different. And I'm starting to feel really good, actually. Going through all these little changes has been difficult. Like there's been really good parts of it, but there's also been really hard parts of it. And I feel like right now I'm starting to reap the rewards of all of this sort of upheaval. I thought it would be fun to talk about this because I think that other people go through this as well. And it's not just part of having left Scientology, it's part of growing up, it's part of getting older, it's just part of life. And you're always sort of working towards something and maybe swinging too far in one direction and then too far the other way and then too far this way. And then finally, basically right before you die, you find balance. I'm just joking. Hopefully that happens long before you die and you get to enjoy said balance. So as a kid growing up in Scientology, even though we weren't really allowed to complain or talk shit a lot, we didn't really have our parents there to say when we were going through something hard, I still managed to be in general kind of a fighter. Like I still voice my opinion pretty regularly to the degree that I could. I would stand up for myself. I would stand up for other people. And Scientology did not make this easy for me, but that did not stop me. Apparently I had endless energy to do this, and I did. So I would never be somebody that could have been considered a wallflower. I was kind of loud and even maybe sometimes like obnoxious. And I don't mean like obnoxious like I needed a ton of attention. I wasn't like that, but I did have a hard time backing down. Now, somewhere along the line, this drastically changed where, to be honest, I became a completely different person. And the funny thing is that it wasn't necessarily being in Scientology that stripped me of that. It was the trauma of leaving Scientology and losing every single person who I knew and had grown up with, and having to start a new life in a new world where I didn't know how to cook, I didn't know how to drive, I didn't have a standard education. I was a little bit scared of other people because I was raised very closed off. I was never in contact with people who weren't Scientologists. And so much about that was humbling, and losing everybody was really traumatic. It was really, really hurtful. I don't even think I realized that at the time. I had to tell myself, no, I can get through this. This is better than Scientology, etc. But I really didn't take in at the time how much that was hurting me. Instead of leaving Scientology and having sort of a soft landing where people supported me, I was constantly made to feel like in my ex-husband's family who were still active Scientologists that I was less than. And they were always trying to get us to go back and pay money to Scientology, go back in Scientology, make good with Scientology. And so every time when I would try to counter them with, no, this is why I'm not going to, it would be me telling them my story and them belittling it constantly. You know, when I would say that we would work 40 hours a week as children doing heavy manual labor, the response would be, oh, well, I worked at a farm one summer, and so it's not that bad. Or when I would say I did not like being held in the room in Scientology's interrogations, they would say, well, you knew going into that interrogation that that's what was going to happen, and so you gave consent. Every part of what I said and what I'd been through was made less of. And there was a part of me, especially when I had kids, that really felt like I needed to be good with these people for the sake of my kids and having family. And the same goes with my own family. And I think I was really afraid of my kids having no one and having no family. And so I thought that it was my duty to stay in good with these people, including people in my own immediate family who, even though they were out of Scientology, they still behaved in Scientology like ways and still made rude comments and were still belittling. And I thought that I would be harming my kids by sort of cutting these people off. And I thought that I would be creating a scene by putting them in their place. And the truth is that it wound up enabling them. And I became this sort of person who was always being the bigger person. I was always putting my needs, myself down in order to keep the peace. I was always telling myself that, you know, you can't go wrong with being kind to people. And I really believed that. But as I've learned over the years, you actually can go wrong by being kind to people who are hurting you. The result of this was that I was always questioning myself. I was always seeing other people's point of view, empathizing with other people, and not seeing my own. I was never protecting myself. I was never protecting my energy. I was deprioritizing everything about me. And it basically was slowly whittling the essence of myself away in every single way. It wound up really changing the way I spoke to myself, like telling myself, okay, you're a bitch, you're a piece of shit, you're making a big deal about nothing, you need to suck it up. That way of talking to myself didn't just affect me mentally, didn't just affect my personal integrity. It wasn't just self gaslighting, but it also affected the way I treated myself physically. Like I would go for long periods of time without actually brushing my hair or without relaxing. Every weekend, I would work my ass off. I would make myself carry heavy wheelbarrows full of dirt and push myself past my breaking point without even knowing it because I did not value myself at all. It also showed up in the way that I looked. Like I was gaining a lot of weight. When I would see myself in photos, it would be like a stranger. It was scary. I wasn't getting sleep. I wasn't eating healthily. My face would be all swollen. It was like I was a totally different person, and it made me feel lost and it made me feel valueless. For the last 2 years since I got my divorce, it's been a really slow process that almost started with me realizing that I can't talk to myself that way anymore. And also giving myself grace, realizing that it's okay if I have limitations and that the solution isn't to just push myself more and more and more. It's to give myself what I need first and then push myself, but not push so far. It was also to start believing in the way I felt about things, to start trusting myself. And being on YouTube has been a big process of me starting to feel like it's okay for me to take up space in this world. I'm not an attention whore if I say my opinion. It's been a big part of me realizing that my opinions have just as much value as anybody else's. And if I enjoy sharing them, well, then why not do it? And what's been interesting is that this transformation has been I started eating better, I started exercising, and I started doing things that I love. And not putting everybody before myself. And not only that, but not putting everybody's opinions before my own. Actually listening to my own intuition, my own experience, my own wisdom, and not needing these things to be perfect in order for them to be worth saying. And it's really been interesting because being on YouTube the last 2 years, it's been funny. Like many things have happened that could be really discouraging. You know, there's been some divides in the community. There's been, you know, bad comments, trolls. There's been people who have attacked me personally. There's been personal drama. And I've been like, Jesus Christ, how can I? It's like the world doesn't want me to do this. And it's been really, really hard. And what's really interesting is that I feel like I'm just starting to come out of the other side of this, where instead of seeing it in the way of the world doesn't want me to do this, now I see it as the world having been like, well, what's the worst that could happen if you do this? What are you so afraid of? And then kind of being like, boom, making that happen, boom, making that happen. And now all of these things have happened. And I'm like, okay, well, nothing could be worse than that. So I think I'm good to go. And I actually feel great. Like I feel like I'm in this place where no matter what happens, it's almost realizing that you can come back from anything, even if it's hard, even if it's messy. I don't have to present myself to the world as someone who's perfect, because I'm not perfect and nobody likes perfect people anyways. And my opinion as is, you know, I want to express it. It's my creative outlet. It's me sharing with people. It's me sharing with you guys. And that's a good enough reason to express it. And if it changes later and if it winds up being wrong, I can restate it. I can say I was wrong. I can do whatever I want. And so I feel really happy that I've come to this place where it's kind of really freeing. And I was listening to an episode of Armchair Expert the other day with Alex Cooper from Call Her Daddy. And it was a really good episode, but she was talking about a sexual harassment situation when she was in college. Her college soccer coach was sexually harassing her. And she was saying how she did not want to talk about this for many years because she was afraid of losing people. And that's how I've felt for the last many years, of not talking about the interpersonal dynamics within my family or in my life, things that have shaped me and shaped how I am today. I've felt like I haven't wanted to hurt anybody, and I still don't want to hurt anybody. But it also, in many ways, has allowed people to hurt me and get away with it. And they've done so under my own protection. And so what she wound up saying was that she realized that she had to choose between losing other people and losing herself. And that's exactly what happened to me. I lost myself after all of those years. And I don't want that to happen again.
I know the fear of speaking up and not being believed or being denied and then losing everything. And I also know the fear of now not speaking up and losing yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
So
lose-lose.
it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Like, I sat with that athletic director and explained this abuse of power. And they basically looked at me and said,
yeah, tough shit.
Tough shit.
Yeah.
And for it to continue to happen, now I knew that's when I'm like, all right, let's fucking go. Because this is not just happening on college campuses for NCAA. It's everywhere. It is in the workplace. It is in relationships.
Yes.
And when people are so confused, why didn't she do this or why didn't she do that? When there is an abuse of power, it is like a ton on top of that victim. And it is like you have to climb Mount fucking Everest and more to even feel like you have a sliver of a fucking hope to be believed and actually be protected if you come forward. Because my story is I came forward and I was failed. So why the fuck would anyone come forward?
Right.
It's an impossible situation for people.
It's horrible.
I hate that. Like, well, why didn't they just quit? because they've spent their whole life trying to get to that point. They're almost there, and there's nowhere else. You're picking your life
Right.
or theirs.
Now, in fairness, I learned a lot from those years. I actually learned a lot about humility. I learned a lot about making friends. To be honest, when you don't look as nice, people are not as nice to you. And so you have to develop your personality. That sounds horrible. It's true. And it's really shitty. And so I feel like I have actually gained a lot from being that person. And, so it was like a swing all the way this way. And I don't want to swing all the way back. I want to meet it somewhere in the middle where I am standing up for myself, but I'm here and I'm stating my opinions and I'm being myself and I'm supporting myself and loving myself, but I'm also learning the empathy and humility that I practiced at that time and using good judgment on when to do what. And I've always been someone who believed in taking action to create the life I want. And the last few years, I've kind of been like, oh my gosh, they've been pushing me around. Things have been happening that are just like out of my control. And now I feel like I'm at a point where it's just about where I am coming to terms with everything that has happened. And I'm taking the wisdom from everything I've learned. In those years when I was not able to be my full self standing up for myself, I actually learned a lot about creativity, art. I learned many hobbies that I love doing. And so now I feel like these things are becoming one, and I'm now ready to move forward with my life in a kind of new, adventurous way of living and the best of both worlds. And I'm really, really, really excited for that. And I'm honestly really excited to share it with you guys. I learned so much from you guys, and I honestly love doing this. So thank you guys so much for being here for all of me and for making space for all parts of me and for always contributing your wisdom and your stories. I have seen so many great comments lately, and I have not had the time to answer them. My kids have been home and it's been summertime, but I really, really want to. They make me so happy, and I really honestly appreciate them. So I'm going to hop on a plane tomorrow. So hopefully I will have time then to answer some of your guys' wonderful comments. In addition to a few other things I want to do, I want to get back to answering some of your guys' questions. So if you have any, please drop them in the comments. I'd love to see what they are, and I'd love to answer them for you. All right, you guys, have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will see you again very, very soon. Bye.